It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege and honor to interview the new Virginia State head men's lacrosse coach, Coach Shaun Church. How are you doing today?
How you doing, Brandon? I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college men's lacrosse?
So when I graduated high school from Hicksville High School, I was going to Onondaga Community College. That was my college choice. And over that summer, I was able to kind of do some travel club ball coaching for a young group with the Brooklyn Crescents. They're now 718 lacrosse. And from there, it just kind of clicked. You know, I was very young when I did it. I was only about 18. I wouldn't say I was very good, but I knew just being around the sport and being around kids and helping them achieve, their small sided goals, reach larger goals. That was just really important to me. And as I went through my college process, which I'm sure we'll talk about, it just really stuck by the time I graduated.
What was it like, obviously, getting to play college lacrosse first on the community college level, then going to a university to play?
It was humbling because when I definitely was in high school, playing in Long Island where I played, the goal is to obviously go D1 or a big time Division II, especially in Long Island with CW Post, which now is LIU Post. New York Tech was around then, Adelphi, Malloy. So it was just a lot of prolific Division II schools too. So for a lot of Long Island guys in the early thousands, it was get a D1 look or you were going to go to one of the big time Division IIs. And because I really didn't have the insight on the process like a lot of other guys, I had to go the Juco route, which for me was fine because Onondaga was starting to become a powerhouse and going a tier. But it was definitely humbling experience. But it was one that also opened my eyes to a different brand of lacrosse, the run and gun style of upstate New York.
Of course, what was it like getting to put on two different college jerseys during your collegiate time?
It was amazing, man. To represent the baby blue, Harvard on the Hill, we call it at Onondaga. To be a laser, it was an honor. I was able to be the captain of the 2009 national championship team. I was also part of an '08 team that broke a streak. So I got humbled, and then our sophomore year, we kind of had to pull it together, and a lot of freshmen stepped up as leaders, me being one that sophomore year. So I think that was something that really stuck with me really for a long time. And then being able to go to Salisbury, just the tradition, guys who've been there, just Coach Berkman, the man he is, being able to go down there and just knowing the team that they had and the team that I was going to join. The mission was really simple, was to win championships again. They hadn't done it in a couple of years. So being able to go there and actually, set out to do that and actually do it, it was amazing. And now that I look back at it, it's something that carries me. I'm a three-time national champion as a player, 2 of those seasons undefeated. My 2012 team got named Team of the Decade. So it's something now that just sticks with me forever. All those teams that I was on and, all that hard work. And it was definitely a goal and a dream of mine playing as a high school guy in Long Island. You want to win championships and you want to you want to cement your name in a legacy. So it's definitely something that I'm proud of. And all those guys are still to this day, we're all like best friends. Every guy on all those teams I was on.
Of course, what was it like becoming a national championship for 2 different colleges?
Again, just to be able to just set that goal, and to be able to see who the team is in the fall. And, obviously the team changes a little bit in the spring because on both of those teams, there's the cup process and just some guys don't really handle the business in the classroom. But again, to be able to do it at the JUCO level, I think it's for anybody, it's kind of like a little tickle, but when you can go, I think, to a NC2A school and do it again, it's something that I remember, and it's something that I hope to be able to do as a coach myself one day, as a head coach.
How is it like, obviously, getting started in college coaching and getting your job as a grad assistant at Eastern University?
So that was actually pretty it was a pretty tough process, because when I got out of college, we had just won a national championship. So relaxation was on the mind for the first, I would say, month for every Seagull. We were in Ocean City. We were just really having, a good time and really just enjoying ourselves, because at Salisbury, we really engulf ourselves in our academics and in the game of lacrosse. We call it our edge. We're always doing something at Seagull country. So when we finally get a time at the end of the season to kind of relax, I think a lot of guys that year, we did that because we won back to back, and it was just a lot of wear and tear on our bodies, and mentally a lot of us were drained. We had a lot of personal things going on. Guys were trying to graduate, so I relaxed, but I tried to get in the coaching world very fast. And, I took a couple of interviews to try to be an assistant, and it didn't really go my way. And then Eastern kind of had a grad assistant position opened up, and I went for that, and it stuck for me. I didn't really get to start in the fall semester because of the timing of when I got the position. So I had to wait to start my grad school until the spring. So it was a little bit of a process. And it was definitely one that I would say my family wasn't happy with, because they wanted me to get out of college and obviously get into the workforce and make real money. And here I had this goal and this dream. I'm about to be a coach, and all I was really about to get was $3,000, some grad school credits, and I didn't even have housing, so I'm sleeping on people's couches, and I'm living with my uncle and aunt in Delaware. So Easton was definitely not easy, but I made the best of it, and I learned how to do that just at Onondaga and Salisbury. You learn how to just make the best of the journey, and that consistent work, you keep putting consistent work, good things are going to happen. And eventually I was able to get a quick switch and go to King's College, which was a little bit set up living wise for me, and it gave me a lot more stability and structure. But to find that first position and get into the coaching world, being a grad assistant, was a rather tough one. Now that I think about it, I don't think it's one that a lot of people would want to embark on.
Of course, how was that like, obviously going to King's University, become the offensive coordinator, and as you said, getting a coaching job that pays?
It was well, it didn't pay that much. In pay, I would say it gave me housing and it gave me food, and for a 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid, if you can give me a couple bucks, where I can, pay my bills, my cell phone bill, and I can get some gas to get around. It was a good setup. I made a little bit more money, maybe about $10,000. And then, they covered all my expenses as far as where I was living and being able to get 3 meals a day at the cafeteria. And they had very nice food. The coach there was Andy Orlowski, and the position kind of opened up, and he remembered me from Eastern. Kings, I would say, was kind of like a rival at that time. And I would say almost I was kind of sought out, and he knew that if I came there, I could really make an impact for the institution and for the guys that were on the program. And I went over there. It was a smooth transition. I would say the Eastern coaching staff was very happy for me. They knew that it would make the conference, a little bit more competitive, because that year when we were at Eastern, we kind of rolled through everybody. We were beating everybody by like 15, 16 goals. So me going over there was definitely going to make the conference a little bit more competitive, which it did. We had more of a 500 type of team at Kings, but our offense went from probably last in the conference to second that year. So I would say the small end, the goal of what Coach Andy Orlowski wanted, it happened, but I only stayed there for also a short year. Eastern was a short 5 months. Kings was a long full year with fall ball and spring. And then, I left. I got my opportunity to become a head coach back home in New York City.
Of course, during your time at Kings, what was it like getting to play with some of those teams like Barton College and Mount Olive College?
So it was actually a pretty good eye opener, for a lot of the young men, because the program was on kind of the rise, and we were starting to pick up heavier competition. So I think for a lot of the guys who were younger, they got to see the competition level of where we wanted to take King's College. And Coach Aniolowski actually just stepped down this past season, but they were on a 6-0 start pre-COVID. So, this thing takes some time. Certain universities, it takes time to really get your team to where you want it. But I think playing teams like that, it gives your program, when you're building, it gives your program a sense of where they want to be. It gives you that incentive as coaches and as players.
What was it like becoming the head coach for the first time in your coaching career and going to community college level?
For one, I thought it was a perfect fit because I was a community college guy. We call it Juco, but I was a Juco guy. So, I felt like I went through the process. I got the process. I was successful in the process. I won championships in the process. And most importantly, I was able to transfer on and go on to a university. So I felt to be able to, share that with young men, especially where I'm from in New York City, other than Virginia State right now, I would say at that time, it was a dream job. It was a dream opportunity to be able to give back to the game, because that's essentially what we're always trying to do, give back to the game, share. So to be able to get a good stint there, learned a lot as far as being a head coach. When you're an assistant, it's totally different. You can kind of only take notes and you kind of do what the coach needs you to do and what you're told to do. But when you're a head coach, you really learn a lot fast, because everything is on you now. Every decision, how the program is perceived, wins, obviously wins and losses. So very eye-opening when you're a head coach.
How is that like returning back to your alma mater as a coach?
So when I went back to OCC, the ASA program had actually, they decided that they wanted to go in a different direction just with athletics, and they wanted to put a lot more of the money into football. So I got a nice, little payout, and, I was able to kind of step back for a second and kind of just see where, I wanted to go. And I decided after coaching for 3 years as a head coach, it'd probably be good to kind of, refresh, tighten up, learn some different things, and I had an opportunity to go back to, Syracuse. And at that time, OCC had just lost the national championship for the first time in I want to say 7-8 seasons. So essentially, these young men did the same thing I did when I was a freshman, and they broke a streak. So anytime that happens, we call these teams the redeem teams. And, I was the first ever redeem team. This was going to be the second redeem team. So it kind of felt like it was a perfect fit, to go back and, just help my alma mater, any way I could to get back to where I know in the Juco world we feel we should always be, which is at the top. So to be a part of that team, to be able to coach some of the guys that were on that team, Austin Stotts was on that team, who is a professional, NLL player, also played in the PLL for a little bit. Just some of the other guys that were on that team, it was amazing. Jason Tebow actually is another guy who stands out, who is actually Monroe CC's coach right now, interim since I left. So that relationship, obviously, you can see how that built, me being able to coach a guy, give him an opportunity to be an assistant for me for a couple of years. And now he's going to get the opportunity to be probably the big dog at his own program, and he's rather young. So now that I think about it now, it's amazing, man. It was lovely, and we went undefeated again, and I won my first ever championship as a coach. So it definitely set the tempo on how you should be as a coach and how you should run your program to possibly win a championship. It was definitely needed for me to go there before I went to Monroe, I would say.
What were some of the things that you accomplished as a head coach at Monroe?
So at Monroe, I think some of the most important things are that, I was able to send a couple guys out to to continue to play lacrosse. This past year before I left, Zach DeFazio, getting a Pfeiffer, getting himself named first team. We hadn't done that in a while, maybe 10 years. We hadn't got somebody on the first team in our conference. So when I got to Monroe, it was a full on out rebuild, from uniforms to everything, so the most point was just getting a couple guys to actually transfer on. And the next thing would definitely be just the impact I feel like I had just in the area of Rochester, more than being the head coach at Monroe. I was very invested in the community. I did a lot of youth stuff. I was a part of Sweet Lax lacrosse brand, which is probably one of the best travel teams out. I got a chance to really see the layout of the travel ball circuit. I probably coached some of the best kids in the country, Casey McDermott being one of them, who's at Johns Hopkins right now. So it was home, it was kind of bittersweet to have to leave, because I was able to grow a business there, the Mud Academy. My son was born, up there. So it kind of really became home. Virginia State kind of came out of nowhere, I would honestly say, because I felt I had a lot more to do at Monroe. The biggest thing I'd probably say on the field is, finally beating our rival, Genesee Community College. We were able to do that in 2019, right before COVID had happened. We actually played that game, won, and then walking off the field, my athletic director was kind of like, there's no more games that are going to happen this year. Like, you better enjoy that one, so, and that was hands down probably the best team I had at Monroe. We would probably won a lot more big games. We would probably won the conference, got into the NJCA tournament for the first time in a long time, but it didn't happen that way. But I would definitely say leaving my mark just in the town of Rochester in upstate New York, and just being able to really put Monroe CC as a program that people respect now, because those were some of the things I was hearing from my athletic director there when I did step down, that I really just put Monroe CC like in a very respectable light in junior college. And he was very appreciative of, just the work that I had put in and the time that I had put in. But for me, just being a staple in Rochester for lacrosse, I would say was the more important thing. Just being somebody that anybody of any age, any grade class, I feel like they can look up to me, and that's male or female, because I actually coach females a lot too when I was in the Rochester area with the Monster Lacrosse. So that to me is more important than sometimes the things I did at Monroe, just the amount of kids I was able to impact in Rochester.
Of course, how is the transition like from going from the Juco level to the Division II level and go to Virginia State?
Because I'm kind of just laying the foundation and recruiting right now, I wouldn't say I feel much of a difference. I feel like because of how long I've been coaching, I kind of knew what needed to be done my first day in here, and even now 3 weeks in, I kind of have a flow. I think the biggest thing is just learning the university, learning who was in charge of what areas, getting little details like, your ID card and all that stuff. I think that stuff's a little more tedious, but I think when you coach for a while, you kind of know what you got to do when you get in there, and the rest is kind of just timelines on what the university wants, as far as when you're going to order apparel, or where we're going to play, locker rooms, all this and that. That's all timeline stuff. But for what I need to be doing, I knew what I needed to do. I needed to get in here. I needed to recruit. I needed to make connections. I need to get people to see Virginia State men's lacrosse, whether that's on social media. Like, we just got to get it out that we have a Division II lacrosse program that's going to be starting in 2023. And we're looking for, the best, classy gentlemen, and, we're looking for the best guys with academics and athletics.
Of course, what was that feeling like when you got announced to become the new head coach for Virginia State?
Exciting. When you coach for a while, and I think it's in any sport, especially in college, I think everybody kind of has like a dream type school. They want to have like a dream type scenario, or dream type situation. And they may never talk about it. They may never tell it when they're at said schools. But for one, I think for me, being an African American man, I wanted to coach at an HBCU eventually. Just in the game of lacrosse, there's just not many yet, So you got to play the waiting game, and Virginia State finally opened up, and I felt like I had exactly what was needed to be here. I've been coaching for a while now, so once I knew the right one opened up, I knew it was mine. So this is perfect. This is a place where, like my coaches at Salisbury and Onondaga did, I don't think this is a place where I got to really rush or think I got to leave. This is a place that I can make home, and I am making it home. This is a place that, we can set the goal high and really try to reach it. I have the support of my athletic director, the support of the president. We're going to get the support of the university and the student body. So, I would say this was definitely a dream job. And like I said, just one that I felt like I had to wait for. I never really shot for Division I. I just always kind of shot for the right one. And the right one for me was always an HBCU that wanted to take this process serious and having a lacrosse program, because it's a serious one. And it's one that takes a lot of attention. And it's going to take a lot of support. And I know Virginia State wants to do that.
What has it been like starting up the Virginia State men's lacrosse program?
It's been fun. I mean, we had an interest meeting the other day for guys that are just on campus who play lacrosse. We had a good 10, 15 guys come out with, word that there's a lot more guys who are on campus who played the sport before. So I think that puts us in a pretty good spot, knowing that we at least have some bodies. But for me, the even more fun part is recruiting and going out there all across the United States. And even for me in Canada and on the reservation, because of some people that I know, we're pushing the rubber hard to try to find the best kids we can who haven't committed yet. So it's exciting knowing that everything that, I have in my brain that I want to put out might happen. So again, I think this is a position that a lot of coaches want to be in, where they can kind of start from scratch. And I think me being a Juco coach for a while, finally into the NC2A, I'm excited. I feel like it's needed.
What is a typical game day going to look like in 2024 when you start the program up?
Oh, a typical game day. I mean, in the HBCU culture, the marching band and the Greek life, and we have the woo-woos here who are like our dance team cheerleaders. So for me, that's like the pulse of our campus on game days, on any game day. So all of those would be involved highly. Our marching band, the Explosion, they're really good. So you can expect as many times as we hope. A double header, whether it's men's, women's, or the women first and the men. Me and Ashley kind of want to play as many games as we can on the same day, so we can kind of really grow that game day culture. So you can expect that, the pulse of the university being there, and a lot of double headers, as many as we can, to really bring Virginia State lacrosse brand around here.
Of course, how has it been like, obviously, building the schedule and working with Coach Ashley to have both the men and the women play on the same days?
So right now it's just a lot of, looking online, seeing what schools have both programs, and what schools are, in travel distance. I've already personally spoken to Chowan. I know Chowan is a school that is in the CIAA and all of their other athletics, but because lacrosse doesn't have a CIAA conference yet, they're in a different conference. But Coach Josh has already reached out about, setting up a game and maybe making it a rivalry type. So, any games that I know that anybody wants to have with me, I'm definitely going to try to make sure they have a girls team, and we're going to try to, just piggyback off one another as much as we can. There's obviously going to be games where we just got to do what we have to do, but we've already had a couple of sit downs where we've been looking on websites and just trying to see what's the smartest play.
Of course, what does the recruitment process look like for those men student athletes looking to play college lacrosse?
So right now, I think the process would be, for any kid that's interested, getting their information done on our questionnaire. If not, just sending a direct email. I think I like kids that are direct. So, if a kid has any interest, I would like for them to, email me right away with, all of their information, any footage they have. But once that happens, once we know a kid is interested or if we have interest in a kid, we've kind of already made contact with them. We've already had a phone call with them. And these are 23s. 23s, we've already had, at least phone calls with 23s that we're interested in. There are a couple 24s that we've only kind of had email correspondence with right now because the 23 classes of the most importance right now and some Juco transfers. But once we know a kid is interested or we're interested in a kid, we get a phone conversation right away. The second thing we always do is we get guardians, parents, whoever it may be that are supporting this student athlete, and we get them on a Zoom call with us, and we just have a real, in-depth detailed conversation where they can, kind of lay all the questions they have for me that they may have with the information I send the kids off after the first conversation just about the school. We send them an informative video with virtual tour and different, majors we have at the institution and just different clubs and activities that may happen. And once the parents, surf the website and we have that Zoom call, we work for an unofficial visit. And for guys that are high caliber that we know we really, really want, we're even looking into bringing them down for official visits. And after an official visit, usually, we're ready to make for guys that we see are fit, we're ready to make an athletic offer to them, so that's kind of the process, what the process will be here. Eventually, what I'm looking to do by next summer for 24s is I'm looking to at least have a prospect day in the summer, and then we would have a prospect day in the winter and in the summer. So there'll be 2 opportunities for kids to actually come on campus and, showcase their talent in front of us. But for this year, I don't think that's something we're going to be able to do because of just things we're doing on campus, building different fields, moving spaces. So prospect day this summer. And then, you just kind of chart it from there. You always want to give them that opportunity with the prospect day, a phone call, the Zoom call, unofficial, official visit. And then hopefully by then, for a lot of kids in NLI or, for guys that are just kind of walking on or coming here, they're just following the regular college process, but they're also getting, the recruitment process with an unofficial or an official visit.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like obviously seeing those prospective student athletes when they do come on that official visit, falling in love and getting to try on that jersey?
We haven't had one kid yet. We're still working hard to get people coming up. We have kids working on dates, emailing us a lot of dates that they want to come, but I've had a lot of good conversations with some 23s, and when the first one does commit, I think it will really start a tidal wave, and it will show a lot of other kids, this is where that they should come. So it's gonna feel good when that first kid does do it, and we kind of know who we want that kid to be. So yeah, we're excited about that one.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like obviously seeing those players go on to the professional level, whether it's the majors, the nationals, or even US?
So I'll tell you, when I was at OCC to see Austin Stotch, go pro. I know that's something that he made a goal when he went to OCC. So to see him actually do it, that's great. And anytime I see him on any of the games, it's amazing to see, like, hey, he set out to do that. I'm hoping with, just the growth of lacrosse and, that for me, I hope that I can continue to have, guys that reach that level, but I can't say that I've had many reach that level. But when you do see somebody reach that level, and you see all the work they've put in, the sacrifices they've made, you can only be proud for them. It's a win for everybody, I think, when people set out and do things like that.
What advice would you give those future people that are looking to play college men's lacrosse?
Say again?
What advice would you give people that are looking to play college men's lacrosse?
Go somewhere that that genuinely fits what you want, and I think just be honest genuinely about what it is that you want from college and what it is you want from lacrosse. I think ultimately we got to remember everybody wants to graduate and we're all going to go into a field, where hopefully we can make money, support our families, et cetera, et cetera. But for me, I went to Onondaga and Salisbury because I wanted to be around the best coaches because I knew I wanted to be a coach. That's why I made the decisions I made. So I would just say, be honest about what your end game is, you know what I mean? And go to the place that is going to actually help you get to your end game. Don't get too caught up too much with, the playing side and, the glitz and the glamour. Actually, take a time to take a step back and think about what's your end game and how is this university and this lacrosse team going to help you get to where it is you're trying to go. That would be the advice I would give to anybody.
What advice would you give to college players looking to play professionally, whether it's for the Premier, National, or in the major lacrosse?
You definitely have to be a different kind of guy. You definitely have to be a different kind of guy. It's not many opportunities right now. So put in that extra work. I would tell guys to get an agent, honestly. Get an agent, get some professional help, get somebody that can speak for you and that can probably get you in that realm. And I think a lot of the guys that are in the professional league, it's because they do have, an agent or they have some sort of professional backing of some sort. So, but that's my opinion. And again, I think as the professional lacrosse league grows, I think there'll be more opportunities for people to play. But I would tell people to get professional advice.
What advice would you give those future college head coaches that are looking to get started just like how you are?
It's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. You might have to start somewhere where it's not really pretty. You might have to make, some sacrifices in areas and you may put in a year or 2 or 3 and you may think, you deserve an outcome, but, it's going to be consistent work over an amount of time and, you'll land what it is you want. And that's from any coach that I've ever been around. They've all had hard times. Even the higher you go, it's only harder and harder times. So you just got to stick with it, believe in yourself, and the grass is not always greener. That's something that Coach O from King's College tells me, the grass is not always greener. Sometimes you're at the right position. You don't got to jump, so be patient and believe in your grind.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Virginia State Men's Program app?
So me personally, my personal handle is Honcho Walker on Instagram. That would be HONCHOWALKA. And then you can find VSU on Instagram at VSU Trojans MLAX.
Thank you again, Coach Shaun Church, for your interview and best of luck in your future as you begin this journey as a new head men's lacrosse coach.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.